The story begins with a high school guy named Hachiman Hikagaya, the human version of Do Not Disturb. He has zero friends, avoids socializing like it's a contagious disease, and spends most of his time completely alone. One day, his class gets an assignment to write an essay about youth. Now, while everyone else is writing cheesy motivational stuff, Hachiman decides to wake up and choose violence. He writes, "Youth is one giant lie. Everyone pretends they're happy, but deep down they're all miserable." Yeah, imagine being the teacher grading that. She probably needed therapy after reading it. His teacher, Shizuka Hiratsuka, takes one look at the essay and basically says, "Alright, emo Batman, you're getting fixed." She drags him to the service club, where he meets Yukino Shida. Yukino is gorgeous, insanely intelligent, and has absolutely no problem destroying someone's self-esteem with a single sentence. Her face says princess, but her personality says professional emotional damage. The teacher announces that Hachiman will be joining the club. Yukino looks him up and down and goes, "He looks like trouble." Hiratsuka laughs and replies, "Nah, he just has premium loneliness with unlimited depression." After thinking for a moment, Yukino agrees. Hachiman suddenly remembers why he became like this in the first place. Back in middle school, he confessed to a girl, and got rejected so hard that his emotional HP dropped to 0. From that day on, he decided he'd never get attached to anyone again. Instead, he'd become so unapproachable that people would stay away from him on their own. Honestly, bro got rejected once and declared war on society. He even thinks he can intimidate Yukino. Too bad she's completely unfazed. She treats him like another Tuesday. Yukino explains that the service club exists to help people with their problems, and now she's going to help fix his. Hachiman immediately responds, "I don't have any problems." "Sure, buddy, and I'm the king of England." Yukino instantly figures out his biggest issues aren't bad grades or bad luck. It's his crushing loneliness, mixed with an ego that's way bigger than his social life. The two immediately start arguing. Seeing the chaos, Hiratsuka turns it into a competition. Whoever helps the most people wins. The loser has to do whatever the winner says. Not long after, another student walks in, Yui Yugahama. She's adorable, cheerful, a little clueless, and honestly the only person here running on positive emotions. Yui has a simple request. She wants to bake cookies for someone, but has absolutely no idea how, so Yukino helps her bake. Unfortunately, their first batch comes out looking less like cookies and more like edible charcoal. Instead of getting mad, Yukino tells Yui that nobody becomes perfect on their first try. What really matters is putting in the effort. Then Hachiman decides it's his turn. He makes his own version of the cookies. Everyone tastes them, and surprisingly, they aren't terrible. Hachiman explains that he didn't magically make better cookies. He simply presented them properly. He believes that if something is made with genuine effort, the person receiving it will appreciate the feelings behind it. Yui smiles and says she'll try again using her own style. A week later, Hachiman and Yukino are debating whether they actually helped Yui at all. Right then, Yui bursts into the club carrying fresh homemade cookies. She proudly hands them over and says, "I want to join the service club, and I want to be friends with Yukino." Meanwhile, Hachiman quietly sits in the corner eating his cookie. He somehow convinces himself this might be a bad omen, but keeps eating anyway, because despite everything he says, he's slowly starting to enjoy having people around him. See, even this guy's heart has better character development than half the audience's ranked teammates. Later, the class gets another essay assignment. This time, Hachiman compares the school's social hierarchy to a jungle. Every friend group is like a different pack of wild animals, and instead of joining any of them, he'd rather be a lone bear. Honestly, bro would rather hibernate for 6 months than say good morning to a classmate. Of course, Hiratsuka isn't impressed. Hachiman makes things even worse by teasing her. He casually points out that she's single too, and still isn't married. Big mistake. A flying smack instantly reminds him that some jokes come with consequences. Then Hiratsuka asks him a simple question. "So, what do you think about Yukino?" Hachiman immediately answers, "I don't like her." Hiratsuka just smiles, clearly not buying that answer for even a second. Hiratsuka tells Hachiman, Yukino is smart, kind, and genuinely cares about people. You two are just complete opposites, which is exactly why I put you in the same club. Maybe you'll rub off on each other. A few days later, it's pouring rain outside. Since Hachiman can't eat lunch outdoors like he usually does, he's forced to stay inside the classroom. From his seat, he quietly watches everyone else. That's when he notices Yumiko Miura. She's basically the queen bee of the class. Everywhere she goes, her entire friend group follows like they're paid background NPCs. Yui tries to leave the group so she can eat lunch somewhere else, but Yumiko immediately stops her. "What? You don't want to hang out with us anymore?" Yui freezes. She doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and tears start forming in her eyes. Seeing this, Hachiman actually decides to step in. Character development? No way. Well, almost. The second Yumiko gives him that death stare, bro instantly remembers he enjoys being alive. Never mind. Right when the situation is about to get awkward, Yukino walks in like she owns the place. She looks straight at Yui. "Why are you hesitating? We already planned to eat lunch together." Then she turns toward Yumiko. "And you're not the queen of this school. Stop acting feeling like you get to decide what everyone else does. Ouch, that hit harder than any anime punch. The tension in the room shoots through the roof until another student quickly changes the subject before World War III starts. Yukino simply tells Yui, "I'll be waiting outside. Come if you want." Then she walks away. The atmosphere gets so uncomfortable that half the classroom quietly disappears. Yui gently thanks Hachiman. "I know you were trying to help me, thank you." Then she turns back to Yumiko. "I like spending time with Yukino and Hachiman now, but that doesn't mean I don't want to be your friend too." Yumiko rolls her eyes. "Whatever, at least nobody got slapped, that's progress." Soon, a new character enters the story, Yashitaro Zaimokuza. He's Hachiman's gym partner, and possibly the final boss of second-hand embarrassment. The guy genuinely believes he's a legendary swordsman trapped inside modern Japan. Every sentence sounds like he's auditioning for an ice guy. Watching him reminds Hachiman of his own embarrassing middle school phase. Back then, he also lived inside fantasy worlds, wrote dramatic stories, and thought he was the mysterious main character. These days, the only thing he writes is a notebook full of grudges. Bro really upgraded from writing fan fiction to writing revenge notes. Zaimokuza asks the service club for help. At first they assume he wants to improve himself. Nope, he just wants them to read his novel and give feedback. The next morning, Hachiman and Yukino show up looking completely exhausted, because they actually spent the entire night reading his masterpiece. If you can even call it that. Yukino doesn't sugarcoat anything. It was bad. Then she calmly points out every mistake one by one. Absolutely zero mercy. Zaimokuza then looks at Hachiman for a kinder opinion. Hachiman shrugs. "Most of these ideas have already been done before, but your artwork isn't bad." It's basically the anime version of saying, "Nice cover. Shame about literally everything inside." Zaimokuza is obviously disappointed, but instead of getting angry, he smiles. "Thanks for being honest. Please read my next one too." Honestly, respect for surviving that much emotional damage. The following day, Zaimokuza is once again paired with Hachiman during gym class. He starts talking about his dream. "One day I'll become a famous author. Girls will love me, fans will line up for autographs, and I'll be invited to huge parties." Hachiman immediately hits him with the world's fastest reality check. "Maybe, start by touching grass." Meanwhile, another student watches the conversation from a distance. Looks like someone has taken an interest in them. Later, it's tennis class. Everyone pairs up for practice, except Hachiman. As usual, bro's partner is the wall. He's quietly hitting tennis balls by himself when one suddenly flies toward him. He returns it with a clean shot. The other guys catch it, without even knowing his name. Ouch, that one hurt. At lunch, Hachiman returns to his peaceful little corner where nobody bothers him. At least, that's the plan. Yui suddenly walks over. She explains she went to buy juice for Yukino because Yukino lost a little game earlier, and juice is apparently her favorite reward. Hachiman notices how naturally those two joke around with each other now. Inside jokes, shared memories, the kind of friend group stuff he absolutely hates because he's never really been part of one. But then Yui sighs. "You know, you and Yukino always have these conversations that I don't understand. I feel like I'm the one getting left out." Hachiman thinks for a second before answering. Yukino is basically a hurricane. You don't keep up with a hurricane. It just drags you along whether you're ready or not. Hachiman just shrugs. "There's nothing I can do about it." Before Yui can say anything else, someone unexpectedly walks in. It's Saika Tatsuka. And yes, he's a boy. The problem is, he's so ridiculously cute that half the school probably questioned their own sexuality for a second. Even Hachiman's brain completely short-circuits. Bro is fighting for his life just trying to remember he's supposed to like girls. The next day during tennis practice, Tatsuka approaches Hachiman with a desperate look. "Our tennis team is a disaster. Please, join us." Hachiman brings the request to Yukino. She immediately shuts the idea down. "If you join the team, everyone will blame you whenever they lose. Their skills won't magically improve." Cold, but she's not wrong. Just then, Yui walks into the clubroom with Tatsuka. She happily announces, "I want to help too. I'm part of the club." Yukino calmly replies, "Actually, you never officially registered." Yui freezes for a second, then fills out the membership form on the spot. Congratulations, she has officially unlocked Service Club DLC. Now the mission begins. Turn Tatsuka into a better tennis player. The three of them spend days practicing together. Everything seems to be going smoothly, until a group of arrogant students shows up demanding the tennis court. The funny part? Tatsuka already has permission to use it. Hachiman loses his patience. He looks at Hayato Hayama and says, "You've already got everything. Friends, popularity, good grades, sports, and now you want this court too?" Meanwhile, Yumiko couldn't care less about the argument. She simply says, "I just want to play tennis." Hayama quickly comes up with a solution. "Let's settle this with a match. Whoever wins gets the court, and the winning team gets to continue training Tatsuka." Simple enough. The match begins. Mixed doubles. Hachiman teams up with Yui. Hayama teams up with Yumiko. Unfortunately, Yui is absolutely terrible at tennis. No offense, but the ball probably has a better sense of direction than she does. Things get even worse when she twists her ankle during the game. Unable to continue, she turns toward Yukino. "Can you play instead?" Yukino agrees without hesitation. After all, Yui is her very first real friend, and she's not about to let Yumiko push her around. The match starts again. Yukino completely takes over. Point after point, she's dominating the game with pure skill. The only problem is her stamina. She knows she can't keep this pace forever, so she puts her trust in Hachiman to finish the match. And for once, he actually delivers. After carefully reading the wind, Hachiman launches a perfectly timed serve. The ball flies across the court at an impossible angle. Yumiko dives to return it, and crashes straight onto the ground. Game over. Hachiman and Yukino win. But here's the funniest part. Even though they won the match, everyone keeps praising Hayama and Yumiko instead. Welcome to high school politics, where popularity beats reality every single time. After everything calms down, Tatsuka smiles and thanks Hachiman for helping him. That innocent smile nearly knocks Hachiman unconscious. He quietly thinks, "Rom-com gods, did you seriously send me the cutest person in school, and make him a guy?" The universe really loves trolling this man. On the way back to the club room, disaster strikes again. Hachiman accidentally walks into the girls' changing room. 1 second later, a tennis racket flies through the air and smashes him right in the face. Honestly, at this point, he probably deserves frequent flyer miles for getting hit. Instead of complaining, Hachiman just lies there smiling. Thank you, rom-com gods. The next morning, his little sister Kamachi Hikigaya teases him while they walk to school. Be careful this time, okay? Watch the traffic. That reminds Hachiman of something that happened on his very first day of high school. Back then, he was actually excited to start school. So excited that he left home an hour early. But on the way, he noticed a puppy running into the street. Without thinking, he jumped in to save it. A car slammed into him. He broke his leg, ended up in the hospital, and missed the chance to make friends during those important first few days. Honestly, his social life got hit even harder than the car. As they continue walking, Kamachi tells him something surprising. The owner of that puppy actually goes to our school, and she wants to thank you in person. Interesting. Back at school, Hiratsuka calls Hachiman into her office. She's furious after reading his career survey. For his future dream job, he wrote, "I want to stay home alone and become a house husband." Peak ambition right there. Hiratsuka reminds him that the upcoming workplace visit has to be done in groups of 3. Going solo isn't an option. Later, Hachiman finally arrives at the service club. Yukino immediately crosses her arms. "You're late. Yui had to go looking for you." When Yui returns, she smiles and holds out her phone. "Just give me your number already, so next time I don't have to search the entire school for you." Hachiman silently hands her his phone. Yui saves her number herself, and without realizing it, Hachiman has just taken another tiny step toward having actual friends. Bro still won't admit it, but his lonely single-player life is slowly turning into a multiplayer game. Just when things finally seem peaceful, another problem lands right on the service club's doorstep. Hayato Hayama walks in looking unusually worried. He explains that 3 of his closest friends have become the target of anonymous chain messages spreading around school. One rumor claims Tobe is a violent delinquent who beats up kids at arcades. Another says Yamato is secretly dating multiple girls at once, and poor Oka gets accused of intentionally injuring other athletes during practice. Basically, someone woke up and chose cyberbullying. Yukino immediately says the obvious. First, we need to find the person responsible. But Hachiman starts thinking about something else. The workplace visit requires groups of exactly 3 students. Hayama's friend group has 4 people. What if someone is spreading rumors just to push one member out of the group? Now that's actually a pretty smart theory. Hachiman and Yui split up to gather clues. Yui tries chatting with the girls around school. Unfortunately, the rumors start multiplying faster than rabbits. One girl assumes Yui has a crush on someone. Another somehow reaches the insane conclusion that all 3 guys are secretly dating each other. High school gossip really has its own cinematic universe. Meanwhile, Hachiman quietly watches everyone's behavior instead of jumping to conclusions. Soon, Tatsuka approaches him. "Hey, would you go on the workplace visit with me?" Before Hachiman can answer, Hayama shows up asking if they've discovered any clues. That's when Hachiman notices something interesting. Whenever Hayama isn't around, the other 3 friends barely even talk to each other. Back in the service club, Hachiman shares his conclusion. "We don't need to find the culprit. We just need Hayama to join a different group. If those 3 spend time together without him, maybe they'll finally become friends on their own." Surprisingly, it works. The 3 boys end up forming one group. Hayama joins Hachiman's team instead. Problem solved. Well, almost. Tatsuka suddenly looks heartbroken. "Wait, you're not coming with me anymore?" Bro looked like someone cancelled Christmas. Hachiman sighs. "Fine, you can join us too." And just like that, everyone ends up in new groups, with new friendships, new awkwardness, and brand new drama waiting around the corner. By the end of the day, something strange happens. A mysterious silver-haired girl quietly stands outside the classroom. She stares inside for a moment, then silently walks away without saying a single word. Definitely someone to keep an eye on. The next morning, Hachiman arrives late to class. As usual, he invents a ridiculous excuse. As usual, Hiratsuka doesn't buy it. Instead, she rewards him with the educational power of a fist. Honestly, she teaches life lessons like a Dark Souls boss. A few moments later, Saki Kawasaki also arrives late. Unlike Hachiman, she doesn't bother explaining anything. She simply walks to her seat without saying a word. During lunch, Hachiman heads to the cafeteria. There he finds Yukino, Yui, and Tatsuka holding an impromptu study session. Yui notices several brochures sticking out of Hachiman's bag. What are those? He explains they're information packets for summer school. He wants to earn a scholarship so he can afford college. For all the jokes, this guy actually has real goals. A little later, Kamachi arrives with one of her friends. Everyone ends up sharing the same table. Kamachi happily introduces everyone, but something about her friend feels oddly familiar, like she's hiding something. Then the truth comes out, that friend is actually Saki Kawasaki's younger brother. He quietly explains that Saki has changed a lot recently. She doesn't come home until 5 in the morning. The whole family thinks she's turning into a delinquent. Yukino immediately decides this is another case for the service club. If she's in trouble, we'll help her. The next day, Yukino says forcing Saki to change won't accomplish anything, so let's try something different. Animal therapy. She tells Hachiman to bring his cat to school the following morning, and somehow, he actually does. Only for Saki's little brother to reveal one tiny problem. Saki is allergic to cats. Mission failed before it even started. Plan B. Hiratsuka will try talking to Saki directly. Unfortunately, Saki shuts her down instantly. Maybe you should get married first, then you can start giving me life advice. That critical hit lands straight on Hiratsuka's soul. The poor teacher just keeps collecting emotional damage. Yui then has another idea. Maybe Saki would be more willing to trust someone like Hayama, so she asks him to talk to her. But Saki rejects him too without even slowing down. She simply walks away. Watching everyone else's plans fail one after another, Hachiman can't help finding the whole situation kind of funny. Then they finally discover an important clue. Saki recently received a phone call from a cafe called Angel. Looks like the mystery is finally starting to unravel. They discover there are actually 2 cafes with the same name. So naturally, they decide to invest. Later that night, Hachiman, Yui, and Yukino head to the second Angel Cafe, located on the top floor of a luxury hotel. Everyone shows up looking surprisingly classy. Yukino even lends Yui one of her expensive dresses. Apparently she owns way too many because she's constantly attending formal events. Meanwhile, Hachiman is just standing there wondering how he accidentally wandered into a rich people anime. This time, they finally find Saki. She's working there as a barista. Yukino immediately confronts her. You're underage. You shouldn't be working this late. Saki doesn't even hesitate. What would you know about being poor? You're the daughter of a politician. You were born with a silver spoon. That one lands hard. Yui gets angry and is ready to argue back. But Hachiman steps in before things get ugly. Instead of fighting, he calmly tells Saki, meet me tomorrow morning at 5 after your shift. The next morning, everyone gathers at a small coffee shop. Saki, her younger brother, Kamachi, and the rest of the service club. Hachiman finally explains what he's figured out. Saki isn't working because she wants to rebel. She's working because she dreams of going to college. But her parents simply can't afford it. She doesn't want to become another burden on her family. Saki quietly admits, I don't want my parents worrying about money because of me. Her younger brother immediately speaks up. You may be my older sister, but I'm still worried about you. For someone who barely talks, that hits surprisingly hard. Hachiman then tells Saki about a scholarship program that could help pay for college. For the first time in a while, she actually has another option. As everyone heads home, Kamachi casually drops a bombshell. By the way, the puppy you saved that day, it belonged to Yui. Hachiman freezes. Everything suddenly makes sense. The kindness, the cookies, her constant concern for him. He doesn't say a single word. The next day, all the students head out for their workplace visits. As always, Hachiman keeps himself separated from everyone else. Yui walks over and smiles. Come eat lunch with us. But Hachiman immediately refuses. I know that dog was yours, so stop pretending to be nice. His voice sounds much colder than usual. He convinces himself that Yui isn't being kind because she likes him. She's only acting this way out of guilt. In his mind, she's just pitying the lonely guy who never fits into any group. Bro overthinks harder than college students. At 3 a.m. Yui's eyes slowly fill with tears. But instead of arguing, she quietly turns around and leaves with everyone else. A whole week passes. Not a single conversation. Not even one word between them. Hachiman tells himself this is for the best. Everything's back to normal. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. No fake friendships. No meaningless relationships. That's what he keeps repeating, even though it clearly hurts. Yui stops coming to the service club altogether. Yukino quickly notices something is wrong. Did you two have a fight? Hachiman shakes his head. People fight with their friends. We're not friends. Sometimes the biggest lies are the ones we tell ourselves. Later, Hiratsuka arrives with another assignment for the service club. A school battle royale event is coming up, and they'll need another club member. however. Yukino immediately thinks about inviting Yui back, but Hachiman quietly says, people who leave don't come back. Yukino ignores his pessimism. Instead, she remembers that Yui's birthday is coming up. She wants to buy her a present, so she asks Hachiman to go shopping with her over the weekend. On Saturday, Hachiman brings Kamachi to the mall, hoping she'd help make things less awkward. Unfortunately, the second they arrive, Kamachi mysteriously disappears. Yeah, she definitely planned that. Now it's just Hachiman and Yukino, alone, at the mall. Yukino admits she's terrible at choosing gifts. I need your opinion. Hachiman immediately gets nervous. Being the only guy standing inside a girl's clothing store feels like volunteering to become everyone's suspect. Yukino notices his panic and casually says, if it makes things easier, you can pretend to be my boyfriend. Just this once, and stay close. Bro's CPU instantly overheats. Meanwhile, Yui also happens to be shopping at the very same mall, and she's brought her dog with her, because what could possibly go wrong? Naturally, the dog breaks free and runs off. Yui chases after it in a panic. At the same time, Yukino and Hachiman continue looking for the perfect birthday present. Following Hachiman's suggestion, Yukino picks out a cute pink apron. It's exactly the kind of gift Yui would love. But just as they're about to leave, someone suddenly walks toward them. Just as Hachiman and Yukino finish shopping, someone unexpected shows up. It's Haruno Yukino Shita, Yukino's older sister. The moment she sees them together, she instantly assumes they're dating. Without missing a beat, she turns to Hachiman with a smile that somehow feels more threatening than an angry face. If you ever make my little sister cry, I won't forgive you. Hachiman has officially unlocked the overprotective sister boss fight. Yukino quickly sighs. We're not dating. Haruno simply smiles and walks away like she planted a time bomb. Watching her leave, Hachiman quietly says, she looks perfect on the outside, but I get the feeling she's wearing a mask too. Yukino lowers her eyes. Yeah, maybe she is. Before the conversation can continue, a familiar dog suddenly comes sprinting toward Hachiman. It's Yui's dog. A second later, Yui comes running after it. She spots Hachiman and Yukino standing together, and immediately jumps to the wrong conclusion. Yep, she totally thinks they're a couple. Before she can overthink it any further, Yukino calmly says, come to the clubroom on Monday. I need to talk to you. Yui hesitates. Yukino's serious expression makes it sound like she's about to announce something life-changing. Monday finally arrives. Yui nervously walks into the service club. She's convinced she's about to hear, by the way, Hachiman and I are dating. Instead, Yukino places a birthday cake on the table. Happy birthday. She also hands Yui a carefully wrapped present. Then Hachiman awkwardly gives her one too. He scratches his cheek and says, now we're even. This gift pays back all the kindness you've shown me. The debt's settled. Classic Hachiman. Bro turned a birthday present into an accounting report. Yui softly shakes her head. It wasn't like that. She can't find the words. Yukino quietly watches both of them. Then she smiles. Hachiman is right about one thing. The way your relationship began, it probably should have ended the same way. Awkward, bittersweet, incomplete. But maybe it's finally time for a new beginning. She gently reminds them that none of this was really anyone's fault. The only person truly responsible was the driver who hit Hachiman that day. With everything finally cleared up, Hachiman reports back to Hiratsuka. The service club has a member again. Later, Hachiman and Yui find themselves alone for a moment. Yui excitedly opens his present. Inside is a beautiful necklace. Her eyes instantly light up. She happily puts it on. Hachiman quietly watches for a second before casually saying, that's actually a dog collar. Silence. Yui freezes, then immediately chases him while yelling, you idiot. Honestly, he somehow turns every romantic moment into a crime scene. Soon, summer vacation begins. Hiratsuka plans several activities for the service club. Unfortunately, Hachiman responds to all of them the same way, by ignoring every text, every phone call, and spending the entire break sitting at home playing video games. Peak vacation strategy. Kamachi eventually gets tired of watching her brother rot indoors. She forces him to get dressed and drags him outside. When they finally arrive at the meeting spot, Hachiman immediately realizes what happened. It was a trap. Hiratsuka planned the whole thing. A few moments later, Yui, Yukino, and Tatsuka arrive as well. The entire group heads to Chiba Village, where Hayama, Yumiko, Ebona, Tobe, and the others are already waiting. Hiratsuka finally explains the plan. For the next several days, everyone will be helping at a children's summer camp as volunteer counselors. Yukino looks around at the large group. Why invite all of them? Hiratsuka smiles. Because the service club needs to learn how to live alongside other people. You don't have to become best friends, but you can't spend your whole life avoiding everyone either. In other words, congratulations. It's time to learn social skills. Good luck, Hachiman. You're gonna need it. Their first assignment is helping the kids complete a forest adventure race. As expected, Hayama instantly becomes every child's favorite counselor. He's basically the human version of Disney's Prince Charming, but while everyone's focused on him, one little girl gets completely left out. Nobody notices her standing alone. After the race, the next activity is cooking lunch together with the kids. During the meal, Tobe suddenly starts chatting with Hachiman, which makes Hachiman about as comfortable as a cat taking a bath. Meanwhile, Hayama approaches the lonely little girl. Is something bothering you? She avoids the question, then quietly walks away. Hachiman and Yukino decide to follow her. Her name is Rumi Tsurumi. She has no friends, but instead of sounding sad, she simply says, "It's okay. I'll make friends when I get to middle school." Poor kid. She's already coping harder than most adults, and Hachiman immediately recognizes that look, because he's staring at a younger version of himself. Yukino looks at Rumi and says something brutally honest. The girls who ignored you today are the exact same girls you'll be going to middle school with, so if nothing changes, nothing will change. Rumi lowers her head. Maybe things will just go back to the way they used to be. It's the kind of answer that hurts because even she doesn't believe it. The group reports everything to Hiratsuka. Hayama immediately says, "I want to help," but Yukino fires back without hesitation. "If you couldn't help before, what makes you think you can help now?" Oof, she didn't throw shade, she launched the whole tree. Yukino declares that Rumi is now officially a service club case. Hiratsuka nods in agreement. Everyone starts throwing out ideas. Yumiko thinks Rumi is making things harder than they need to be. She just needs to talk to people. Ebona has a different opinion. Eventually she'll find hobbies and friends who match her personality. But Yukino quietly shakes her head. What if she never does? That answer instantly changes the mood. Yumiko gets annoyed. What do you mean never? Yukino replies, because she's like you. You push people away by acting like you're better than everyone else. Yumiko fires back immediately. Or maybe, you just think everyone else is beneath you. Well, this conversation escalated faster than Twitter. The argument is about to explode when Hayama quickly steps between them and calms everyone down. Later that night, Yumiko storms out of the cabin. Meanwhile, Hachiman can't fall asleep. He decides to take a walk. Outside, he finds Yukino quietly staring at the stars while softly humming a song. She barely looks at him before saying, "I made Yumiko cry." For once, Hachiman doesn't tease her. He simply sits beside her in silence. After a while, he asks, "So, is there something going on between you and Hayama?" Yukino shakes her head. "We went to the same elementary school. Our parents have always been close. That's all." Hachiman starts thinking about how exhausting family expectations can be. But Yukino quietly adds, "My older sister is the one expected to protect the family's reputation. I'm just a replacement for someone who always acts strong." That line carries a surprising amount of pain. Before Hachiman can respond, she stands up. "I still want to help Rumi." Then she walks away beneath the night sky. Elsewhere, Rumi is also sitting alone, looking up at the exact same stars. Sometimes loneliness really does look the same from every angle. The next morning, Tatsuka wakes Hachiman up by talking non-stop. He keeps chatting and chatting until Hachiman suddenly asks, "Can I have your phone number?" Tatsuka happily gives it to him. Hachiman stares at his phone in disbelief. "Wow, I finally have a friend's number. Until now this thing was basically just an expensive alarm clock." Character development unlocked. Later, Hiratsuka gathers everyone together. Tonight's event will be a test of courage, followed by a giant bonfire. Everyone has to prepare the decorations and wear scary costumes to frighten the kids. Easy enough. As evening approaches, the children head to the river to play. Everyone joins in, except Hachiman. He's sitting alone on top of a tree branch, quietly watching from a distance. Honestly, even squirrels have a more active social life. A few moments later, Rumi climbs up and quietly sits beside him. The other kids have another free day yet somehow. She still ends up alone. Hachiman tries to comfort her in the most Hachiman way possible. Don't overthink it. The chances of staying friends with your high school classmates forever are basically 1%. Not exactly motivational, but he's trying. Rumi quietly says, "My mom gave me this camera. She wanted me to take pictures with my friends. But now, I'm becoming the same kind of person I used to dislike. I've already given up trying to make friends." Those words hit Hachiman harder than anyone realizes, because he's hearing his own past all over again. He understands that darkness, because he lived through it himself. Before leaving, he simply tells her, "Good luck tonight." But deep down, he's already coming up with a plan. Night falls. Everyone puts on scary costumes for the test of courage. Unfortunately, nobody actually looks scary. They all look like they ordered their costumes from the discount section 5 minutes before the event. Hachiman looks around and says, "If the real problem is human relationships, then maybe we should just destroy the relationships. When everyone's equally alone, there won't be anyone left to fight with." Bro's solutions are somehow both genius and deeply concerning. Soon, the children enter the dark forest in small groups, completely unaware that Hachiman is about to turn this simple camp activity into psychological warfare. warfare, the test of courage finally begins. The kids walk through the dark forest, but honestly, nobody's scared of the cheap monster costumes. Those outfits are less nightmare fuel and more Halloween clearance sale. Then it's Rumi's group's turn. She's walking with the same girls who've been excluding her all camp. The first people they run into are Tobe and Yumiko. They're not even wearing costumes. Instead, they're acting as the next obstacle in Hachiman's plan. They block the path and say, if you want to pass, you have to leave 3 people behind. The girls don't even hesitate. Their first choice? Rumi. That alone says everything. Then things get messy. Instead of working together, they immediately start arguing over who should be left behind next. The fake challenge quickly turns into a very real fight. Right then, Hayama steps in. He calmly asks, so, who's the third person? You've only got a few seconds. Panic spreads through the group. Hachiman's plan is working perfectly. The fake friendship finally starts cracking apart. But before everything completely falls apart, Rumi suddenly raises her camera. Flash! The bright light catches everyone off guard. Using that split second, she grabs the other girls and helps them escape together. In the end, the friendship was exposed for what it really was.